Okay, guys, we're learning a lot about these leaked documents from this U.S. military member who basically risked his life to leak these documents and is now probably going to go to prison for 10 or 15 years for treason, the Espionage Act, for leaking these documents. But look at what we're learning here now. We're learning that China, a lot of things we're learning, but let's start with this one first. China has been using spy balloons for a long time, and the US has known about it and didn't do anything about it. Take a look here. Yeah, according to these leaked documents, they show officials were aware of additional Chinese spy balloons, and the US government didn't shoot them down. Here's what we know. U.S. officials knew about additional Chinese spy balloons beyond the one that traveled across the U.S. in January, February, according to a report from the Washington Post. The Post reported on Friday that the intelligence community and also continued to have questions about the balloon after it shot down across the Atlantic Ocean. It had sensors and antennas that the government had not identified more than a week after. The reporting was based on documents that the Post obtained from classified document leaked online, which was shared on a wide range of U.S. intelligence and national security information. Of course, it was from a Massachusetts Air National Guard who has now been arrested and charged with espionage and faces a potential up to 15 years in prison. The Post reports that the balloon that was shot down was one of at least three that intelligence agencies know of. One of the other two flew over a U.S. aircraft carrier strike group in the Pacific Ocean, and the other crashed in the South China Sea, according to a top secret document. The document did not mention launch dates for the balloons. Intelligence agencies referred to the balloon that traveled across the country before being shot down as Kylene 23. The documents the Post reviewed also mentioned balloons referred to as Bulger 21 and Ecardo 21, but they did not make clear if these are the ones that flew over the carrier and crashed into the sea, respectively. It states that the Kylene 23 balloon contained a parabolic dish, multiple unidentified sensors, and a possible masked antenna. But the government does not have any imagery collections of the bottom of the Kylene 23 payload to analyze for an optical sensor. Another document states that Kylene 23's entry into the U.S. airspace likely surprised parts of the Chinese government, as information about the incident was heavily stovepiped in the Chinese military. Now, this is something I have said for a while, that these balloons, and maybe even other countries' balloons as well, have been going over the U.S. and have been spying on us for a while. We know of at least a couple more that have gone into the U.S. One that went over Hawaii, and another one in the Biden administration here earlier this year, and also a few in the Trump administration that have been spotted. But how many other ones haven't been spotted that went over the U.S.? Now, the problem is that these are ones that have been spotted that maybe have been seen by the physical eye. How many of them have been up there that weren't spotted? Yeah. And honestly, this might just be the tip of the iceberg, how long this has been going on. And, heaven forbid if we did this to China. If we did this to China, they'd be talking about like World War III and invading us. And, oh my God, the repercussions. And it would be can you imagine what they would be saying if we were doing this to them? If we were launching balloons over their country, they would be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Just imagine, right? Yeah. So, and remember that when we shot the balloon down, they wanted it back. They wanted the balloon back and said it was their property and that we couldn't keep it. Like, yeah, imagine the irony, right? You can let me know your thoughts here on this, but obviously, I get that it was treason and the guy shouldn't have done this, but the irony of it all is that we, the American people, are actually learning a lot about this. And now it's kind of a lesson to be learned here that now the US government's being put under some more scrutiny. And when this happens, I feel like it's a lesson to be learned type of deal. And I feel like sometimes when the scrutiny part of it doesn't happen, the lesson isn't learned type of deal. And as sad as this is to say, a lot of the times, if a lesson, if the lesson isn't painful enough, the lesson isn't learned, right? And I feel like with the Chinese spy balloon, the one that made the national news that everyone knows about is really what it took for us to adjust our parameters, start looking for these, and actually make a big deal about it because we have seen them before. The one that came over Hawaii, which was like last year, we knew about. It made news. You can look it up. It's literally there on news stations and Hawaii news and stuff. We have seen these before. If you go and look, the Trump ones are there before. We've seen these before, but they didn't make big enough attention. The lesson wasn't painful enough. Okay. So the lesson has to be painful enough, as sad as it is to say, for our country to make it known. Okay. And if you know what I'm saying here, this is how sad the state of our country is sometimes. It takes really big things like a Chinese spy balloon or 9/11 or Pearl Harbor or something like that for our country to really take notice and make changes. So look at what happened to 9/11 and then look at the security changes they made on airplanes and look at what we have now. We didn't have changes like that on airplanes, and literally anybody could just, you could go into airports, you could literally walk right up to the gate, you could bring your families there, you could go watch the planes. I get it because, our families used to go and my wife, her mom used to take her to go watch airplanes when she was a kid. It was a nice little sentiment. But the problem is that our airports weren't secure, our planes weren't secure, and it took a really bad incident for that to happen. Then a bad incident happened, and now our planes are a lot more secure. So the spy balloon, it really took a national media attention incident, and now we're actually paying attention to them. But the problem is, for years and years and years, other countries have been spying on us and getting away with it before it actually took hold. And what's really sad here is the US government knew about it. There's been documented cases where these spy balloons from China and who knows what other countries have literally been flying over the US, and multiple administrations, Biden, Trump, and past administrations have known about it, and they weren't shooting them down. They weren't doing anything about it. They weren't even barely tracking them. There was a few times they seen them, and what did they do? They literally did nothing about it. Now, I remember in the Hawaii incident, they actually sent planes up there to look at it to see what they were, but then nothing came of it. They just went up there to make sure it wasn't like a threat, which you arguably it was or wasn't. It was a surveillance threat, but it wasn't a military threat. But see, that's the thing here is that we're getting smarter. We're learning. And sometimes that's the lesson to be learned is that you really don't know, you don't think about it until it makes a big enough issue. But people in our military maybe should have been smarter. Maybe they should have been like, this is why these guys are paid the big bucks. These are why we hire the smartest people. We hire people to think about this. Why are these surveillance balloons over the United States? What are they doing? Are we going to allow this? Like, I mean, come on, guys. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to think about this. And the sad part about this is it took a national media attention and public outrage for for the US to actually step up and do something about it. Yeah, so this is the problem with America and our national defense and stuff like this. And honestly, I hate to say this, but this is kind of another issue that I really think we need to do because we haven't been tested on this, and they need to address this before we're tested on this. Former President Donald Trump actually brought this up here in a recent video. Our missile defense system on our coasts of our country. You know, if heaven forbid, because we've had all these threats here from the what I call the three-headed dragon, China, Russia, and North Korea, threatening us all here on a daily basis. If we had missiles shot at us from any random country in the middle of the night, would our country be able to intercept them all and shoot them all down? You know, the government has said is basically the equivalent of shooting a bullet in midair with a bullet in midair. You know, they have to shoot it down in midair. Would our country be able to do it if they randomly shot a missile at New York or at California, and it's just in the middle of the night? Would we be up and aware of it, and would we be able to shoot it down if they just shot a whole bunch of missiles? Do we have missile defense systems up on the coast of every square mile of our country, and are we ready for it at 24 hours a day and willing and ready to shoot this stuff down? I feel like we need to be beefing those systems up. We need to be. I mean, we're a country that has spent billions and billions. We spend almost $1 trillion on the defense of our country every year. I sure hope we're beefing those systems up because we got a lot of coastline on the East Coast, the West Coast, the North Coast, the South Coast, and Hawaii and Alaska. That's a lot of area to cover. So I sure hope that's something that they're thinking about before it becomes an issue. And I'm not in the military. I hope that's something that they're addressing. You can let me know your thoughts here on this in the comments section. You know, I've had some military members in my family, but this is just something that I think about. So let me know your thoughts here in the comments. I'll keep you up to date here with everything going on here in our country on a daily basis. So if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe down below. Click the bell icon so you don't miss out on any new videos that come out here on our YouTube channel at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every single day. Thanks for liking and sharing these videos. Here's some videos you should watch next. Biden just signed this major bill, and you need to know about it. And here's something coming for all 50 states because of what the Fed is doing. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.